Hi everyone, this is Mukesh Otwani from learn-automation.com. In this video, we are going to talk about what is Serenity Framework, or in other words, what is Serenity BDD Framework. So Serenity is not a new framework, it has been into the market from a long time, and many companies actually use Serenity Framework in their real-time projects. So let me explain you what exactly is framework, when to use, how to use, each and everything about the Serenity Framework. But before I start, let me talk about a normal example, then we will jump into the technical definition and technical differences. Now you can see this is a land, this is the plotted area. So you can build the house here based on your requirement, right? You can customize however you want. But the problem here is you need to do everything from the scratch, plus you need little expertise in order to build a proper house, right? You need some kind of guidance, support, and little bit knowledge about how this construction works. You need to also collect the materials, and you need to do little bit of hard work, because here you need to run behind the workers and everything. So it means you need to take the headache of each and everything. But if you take about the apartments, this is already designed by the builders. You just need to pay and you can start using it. So now you can see the actual difference between your own house which you are going to construct and the apartment. Now this is what is Serenity. It is already a framework which is available in the market. Okay, so now if you go with the apartment, it's not that you don't have to do anything. Yes, you need to still do little bit of paperwork if you want to make certain changes to your apartment, and you can still do some modification, but up to a certain extent, but you cannot change the complete structure. But when you buy a land or plot, you can customize however you want. Now the same principle applies when you work with the test automation framework. So this is what the custom framework is. Like, you need to write everything from the scratch. You need to write libraries, you need to write you know all the test page objects, you need to create the structure, and you need to follow the proper guidelines, right? Now this is what the Serenity is. It's already built-in framework. It's already created by highly skilled developers, and they also provided couple of templates to you which you can directly use. And the main focus should be how to create the automated test, not how to create a framework. Not only Serenity, there are a couple of frameworks available in the market like Catalyum, and there's so many other tools as well, or the frameworks which you can use for your automated test. But I'm going to start with Serenity, and I hope you are able to understand it's not something out of the box. It is just a framework created by highly skilled developers that we are going to use. They already created a couple of libraries, some templates that we are going to consume. Now another point before I jump into the technical part, both the sides have some pros and cons, right? If you want to write everything from the scratch, again you need some time, you need highly skilled developers or the coders who can write the proper framework. Because if you don't write the proper framework, again you have to spend so much time on the maintenance. But again, the advantage is it's totally up to your hand how you want to customize it. But if you come to this apartment side, not everything is under your control, right? You need to stick to the same structure which builder has given, and you need to live with that. You can still do some modification, but up to a certain extent. I hope this makes a clear understanding about a normal framework which we develop from the scratch and the Serenity framework. Now these points I have taken there from official website. I will show you in a couple of minutes. So it's an open source library or the framework that actually aims to make the idea of living documentation is a reality. Now it will help you to write cleaner and maintainable automated test little faster, because already they have created as a template or the framework. You just need to start using it. Okay, this is again from their official site. The main key advantage of Serenity BDD framework is that you don't have to invest time building and maintenance of framework already given to you. Clone it, import it, and use it. So you can see right now Serenity BDD provides you different type of automated acceptance test. So if you're working with Selenium, you can directly start using Selenium with the Serenity BDD. You can also use the rest assured, and definitely it's a BDD, so you can use with Cucumber or you can use with JBehave library as well. It also support very interesting pattern called screenplay pattern. So till now, if you have worked on automation, then you must have heard about page object model, but this particular framework also support the screenplay pattern. What is the screenplay pattern, that we will discuss in the upcoming videos, but for the time being, just keep this point in the mind that it also supports screenplay patterns. Now let me walk you through the official documentation and the official blogs which they have. So all the points which I have taken is from this particular Serenity BDD book. Very clean and easy to understand documentation which they have provided. You can start using it directly. So now you can see you can use Serenity with JUnit, you can use with Cucumber, you can use with JBehave, you can work with REST APIs, and this is the main part called screenplay pattern. And apart from that, this is their official site. Okay, so all the documentation, what is Serenity, training support, all the details about Serenity you can get from here. So this is the report which you are going to get, and the couple of other details which they have provided. So just go through it, and the moment you click on download, okay, it is again navigating to the same one. Okay, I will show you a different way how you can use this. So I will put all this link in the description. You can check out these links whenever you have time. Now there are two important links again. One is this manual, and another one is their GitHub library. Okay, so on the GitHub they have given multiple templates, and you can see they have given templates for Cucumber 4, Cucumber 2, which is this one. Then they have different GitHub for screenplay pattern, which this is for rest assured, this is for JUnit, and there are so many different repositories they have created for the different usage. So once we move forward, definitely we are going to talk about Serenity Cucumber and Serenity JUnit, which means nothing but your normal Selenium test, how you can use them with Serenity. Again, as I said, it's little tricky sometimes because you need to learn the others framework, how they have written, and based on their framework pattern you need to write your own script. But again, you are using standard framework which they have created, so it will give you very good reporting and very important libraries which will make your automated test little stable. So this is all about the Serenity BDD framework. Anyways, we will see in the next videos how to use this, and first of all how to import different components which they have, and how you can write your own automated test with BDD and without BDD. So when I say with BDD, like you can without Cucumber also you can use the Serenity framework, and with Cucumber and JBehave as well you can use this framework. Okay, so that's all I have about the intro of Serenity BDD. Now here we are going to talk about how we can set up the Serenity framework in our local system. In the last section, we discussed about what is Serenity BDD, introduction to BDD framework, why it is required, how it works, everything about the Serenity we have discussed. But now we are going to talk about how we can set up this in our local system. I'm using Mac at this moment, but if you're using Windows, then you just need to change the drivers, and rest everything will be same. So let's talk about what exactly we are going to talk in this video. We'll talk about how we can set up the Serenity framework, how we can add the config file, how we can add the properties file, download and set the drivers, and finally we will run our first test using Serenity framework. Now if you go back to their official site, they have given beautiful description about how you can set up the project. Okay, they have already provided a GitHub link where you can simply clone that repository and you will be ready to use that Serenity framework. So this is the Serenity BDD repositories we have. So we have Serenity core, we have Cucumber starter, Cucumber 4 starter, REST starter, and all these different repositories we have. So since this is our first project with Serenity, I would recommend you to start with JUnit starter guide, and you can say recently it is updated 8 days ago with the new Serenity version. So I'm going to start with Serenity JUnit starter, where we already have pom.xml file, properties file, and all the necessary things which we need. So right now I'm going to clone this repository, and I will be using this repository to run our first Serenity test or first web automated test using Serenity framework. So if you see this, they have already created one small project with some basic test. So what we need to do, we just need to clone. We just need to get into the pom.xml file or the home directory, and finally we need to run this command. So I'm going to clone this particular repository, and let me download the zip file, and let's use this. So I'm going to put on desktop. So this is Serenity JUnit starter master 2. I am going to unzip this. Okay, so we got this particular folder, and this is the complete home directory we have. So if you open this pom.xml, you will find all the dependencies which we need. So what I'm going to do, so this is my fresh workspace. I'm going to import that particular project that we have downloaded just now. So I'm going to go to Maven, click on existing Maven project, click on next, and we will give the path where we have exported that Serenity JUnit starter guide. So you can see this is the one. Click on open, and it automatically detected the pom.xml file. In case if you want to change it, you can go to advanced, you can change the profiles and the templates. Right now I'm not modifying anything, and I'm clicking on finish. It will take few seconds, and it will import the complete workspace, sorry, the complete project. So whatever dependencies are missing, it will automatically take, and it is ready now. So you can see right now it is giving some error in the pom.xml file. So we'll see that. Okay, so right now it is not able to identify. Okay, if we go back to the overview section, can you see this? It is not able to read the descriptor for this particular version, okay, which is 2.0.91. Now what can be done, like what we can do here? Now if you go back to this particular repo, you can see this the updated versions. So recently the creator of this particular framework has changed the version from 81 to 91. So what we are going to do, we are just going to change it to 81 since 91 is not compatible with my system. So I'm going to revert it back to 2081. So what we need to do, we just need to go back to Eclipse. So guys, right now I'm using Java 8, so 2.0.81 is working for me. In case if 2.0.91 is compatible with your system, please go ahead and use it. So now the moment you see, your project will have two packages, with one is starter.math and another will be starter.step, and you will get two additional files. So if you go back to this one, you will find couple of steps, and when you go back to the main file, you will find the actual test with the pending annotations. So I don't want to confuse you at this moment, so let me delete all these files which we have, and let me create everything from the scratch, and I will also tell you what changes you need to make in your properties file, config file, and pom.xml file. So at this moment, let me delete first of all these two packages I don't need. I want to create everything from scratch, so let's delete these two packages. Okay, and before we move ahead, let me show you the pom.xml file. So first of all guys, these are the properties. So right now you can see the Serenity version is 2.0.81, Serenity Maven version. This is the encoding for the complete project. Encoding parallel test as of now 4, base URL is set to none. When it comes to repository, you can see a repository track, then you can see a plugin repository, and this is the main part, the dependencies. So right now it is using all these dependencies, which is Serenity core, Serenity JUnit, Logback Classic, JUnit, Assert J core, Hamcrest. So these are the core dependencies which comes by default the moment you import the starter guide. So you can say Maven Surefire plugin plus Maven failsafe plugin, and don't worry about these includes. This we will discuss once we move forward. We will change this includes tag based on our test that we need to execute. And then when it comes to execution, right now we have two goals. One is integration test and verify. Again, we'll cover this section as well. And the additional plugin, one is Serenity Maven plugin and Maven compiler plugins with the final execution of aggregate. So at this moment, do not change anything. Whatever pom.xml you have, it is more than sufficient to start with your first test. Now if you open the serenity.properties file, these are the key value pairs which comes by default when you import the Serenity framework. So in case if you want to make any changes or you want to add any settings here, you can directly go ahead and change here. So let's say I want to add one property here, which is webdriver.driver. I can go ahead and update here. By default, Serenity Framework works on Firefox. So in case if you want to change the browser to IE or Chrome, you just need to change here and it will be updated and all your tests will run on this configuration. So how I'm getting all this key and value pairs, I will tell you in upcoming videos. At this moment, just keep this thing in mind that whatever settings you want to change, okay, like your base URL you want to change, like screenshot settings, driver settings, you can come to this properties file and you can change it. Now when you talk about SRC test resources, okay, you will find one XML file and we need to maintain all the drivers under this resource section. Now before we move ahead, let me show you the official documentation, what is mentioned over the document. Okay, so we'll start with the Selenium versions. So we need the moment you use Serenity core that anyways we have added, it will take care of all the Selenium versions. So that is done. So this is how we have to run the test, that also I will show you in few seconds. Now the next thing is we need to configure the driver. So the first thing which I told that we need to maintain a properties files, okay, which is already here, serenity.properties, and we need to maintain one key and value. So this is the key, guys, webdriver.driver, which I have already written here, and Chrome is the value that I want to set. Now we need to also maintain a config file, okay, and in the config file we have to maintain all the drivers in this format. Go through the documentation, and the one thing which we need to mention is the config file. In the config file we need to maintain the drivers in this format. So let me go ahead and create a config file, and this config file we are maintaining under src dot src test resources. Okay, so I'm going to create a separate file, and this file I will give a serenity.config, and I'm going to hit the enter. Now under this we want to maintain this particular folder, right? We want Windows, we want Mac, and we want Linux. So, and if you can see, this is also a folder. So I'm going to create one folder. First of all, this folder I will name it drivers. Under this I'm going to maintain three different separate folders. So one for Linux, one for Mac. Right now all are not required since I'm using Mac, so Mac folder is more than sufficient. But since we are creating a standard, the template, so let me put all the folders here. So we have Windows, we have Mac, and finally we have Linux. I'm going to work with Mac, so I need to download all the drivers for Chrome and Firefox. For this, let me go ahead and search for Selenium HQ. The moment you go ahead, you will see now we have an updated site called selenium.dev. Go to download section, come back to third-party browsers. Okay, open Firefox and open Chrome. The moment you come back here for Firefox, you can see a Gecko driver releases, and you will find the latest version which got updated on 12th October. Open this and you can download the one for Mac. Can you see this 0.26.0? So you can download this driver and you can start using it right now. Just to save some time, I already have the drivers ready on my desktop. So you can see I have a folder called drivers for Mac where I had downloaded for Gecko and Chrome. So Gecko driver directly you will get from here, and for Chrome you just need to click on the latest stable releases, which is 79, and beta release is also here, which is Chrome 80, but let's use Chrome 79. And the moment you click, you will get these particular drivers, one for Linux, Mac and Windows. I'm using Mac, so the moment I click on this zip file, it will download, and once I will unzip, I will get this Chrome driver. So what I will do, I will simply copy these drivers and I will keep them under Mac folder. Okay, so right now I have drivers folder, then I have Mac folder, and I have these drivers ready. Now if I open this config file, I need to maintain the same thing in my serenity.config file. So again, here everything is given, so I don't have to put much effort. I will simply go ahead and copy this config file. Okay, which says drivers is a folder which is here, Mac is a folder which is here. Then we are setting chrome.driver, and this is the path src test resources. Okay, WebDriver, Mac and Chrome driver. So I will change it, and I will change it to a specific folder. So our folder name is driver, so I will just remove this and it will be drivers. Clear? Now same thing I need to do for Gecko driver as well, right? So for Gecko driver, we know the key is WebDriver dot, let me increase the size, Gecko.driver, and it should be Gecko driver. That's all. Okay, don't worry about the Windows and Linux right now, I don't have, but everything is same. You just need to remove this exe when you work with Mac and Linux, but for Windows it is must. Path will remain same, src test resource, drivers and subfolder, and this one. Clear? So your config file is done, properties file is done. Now let's go ahead and create our first test. For that I will go to src test java and I will create the first package. This package name I can give anything, let's say test cases at this moment, and I will create a class called my first test case, and I will click on finish. Okay, now again you need to go back and see the documentation. So the first test which we need to write, it will include, first of all you need a driver. Okay, now if you go back to the WebDriver time or the Selenium versions which we have used earlier, we need WebDriver, right? So we used to write driver equal to new Chrome driver, WebDriver equal to new Firefox driver. But with Serenity, you don't need to do all this initializations. You just need to write driver, and you just need to use one annotation called managed, and rest everything Serenity will take care. Okay, so let me show you. So first of all, I'm going to create a test, and this test I will keep as my Google search. Okay, and I will be using @test, which is coming from JUnit, guys. Since if you open the pom.xml, we are using JUnit, so the @test I'm going to take from JUnit. Okay, so just give me a second. Okay, it's a little slow today. Just a second. Okay, so org.testng. So the first thing which we need is WebDriver. So the moment you type WebDriver, you can see this interface is coming. Now I can use this driver for all my further test, right? So what I need to do, I will say driver dot first of all get. I will open the application, then I will find some web element, and I will do some send keys, and then I will okay, let me do only 2 steps. So the first thing which I need to start let's say Google. Okay, after that I want to simply write something. So if I inspect this search box, I will find a name, locator, and the value is Q. So I will say Q, and send keys, let's say I want to type Selenium with Serenity. This is what I want to do. Like open the web application, find one element with name equal to Q, and just simply type Serenity or Selenium with Serenity. But here is a quick changes that we need to make. So first of all, we need to use one managed annotation. Okay, so this managed annotation is coming from Serenity. The moment you put @managed, you can see it is coming from a core library, and if you see the description, it says it will mark a WebDriver field that it is managed by a test runner. So test runner, which is coming from Serenity, will instantiate the WebDriver before the test start, and it will also close once all the tests are finished. It means browser starting and closing sessions will be taken care by this particular annotation. Clear? So this is must. Now the moment you run this, you can see right now we have option of JUnit test because we're using test of JUnit. But in order to run this test with Serenity, you also need a separate annotation called run with, and you need to use a Serenity runner.class. Keep this thing in mind. So before you start your class, just use one annotation called run with, and there's a separate class called Serenity runner dot class. Now this is a fully fledged test which you are running with the help of Serenity, where you're opening a browser. Now which browser? This browser is coming from properties file. You are starting a Chrome. Okay, and which URL you're passing Google, and you're using one locator, and you're doing some activity. At this moment we are doing send keys. Let me run this test and you will see the console output. Okay, so right now the test is running. Okay, you can see a big console. I will show you all this. It is giving me some error. Let's see. So first of all, let's say Serenity test started, could not instantiate. Okay, the driver is not executable. Okay, so guys, there's small mistake. I will not say mistake. You can see right now these are the Unix executable, right? And the moment we do copy paste in this way, it will lose this extension. So the moment I come here, and if I simply see the properties, Can you see a difference? These are not actually executables because when I did copy paste, somehow something went wrong and these are not executables. So what I will do, I will delete them and I will simply do a copy paste now, and I will paste it here. Now these are the valid executables. Okay, so this is the mistake which I did. You can avoid this thing. So open a folder manually and then do the copy paste. Now let me run the test again and see how it behaves. Right click, run as JUnit test. Let's see a console. Okay, starting. Yes, our test started. Google Selenium with Serenity, and it also closed the browser. And if you open this is actually working. So now what happened? First of all these things default coming from Serenity because we have added @run with serenity.runner. So all this logs information like news and tutorials, documentation, everything test started. Now the actual thing is started from here. Okay, first of all it is initiating the driver with the capability Chrome and all these arguments. So these things are default because we have not passed anything. And finally it did some activity and the test passed. Clear? This is how we can run the first test using Serenity Framework. Right now I'm not using any Cucumber or any other BDD framework like JBehave. This is plain Selenium test using Serenity Framework. Now you must be wondering that why we are doing all this just to run a basic test. So just hold on for a couple of videos. Once you move forward, you will understand the importance of this framework. In the next videos, we are going to talk about PageObject that comes by default with Serenity, which will add so much flavor to your test. Okay, now let's change this browser from Chrome to Firefox and let's see how it behaves. Right click, run as JUnit test. Again double click on console, wait for a few seconds and the test started. This time it is taking Firefox. So with the help of just a small change in the properties file, your test or your complete suite is running on that particular browser. So that is the importance of this properties file. Clear? Right now we are not making many changes, but once we move forward I will give you multiple capabilities or the keys which you can add in the properties file. So that's all about this video. I hope you are able to understand what I'm trying to cover. Let me refresh this particular project. So we have only one test case right now. We are not using any library from Serenity side. Just we are using one managed annotation which is taking care of the browser starting and closing, and this particular annotation is running our test with Serenity Framework. In the upcoming videos we'll talk about the page objects, which is the actual main selling point of Serenity Framework. Not only the page object, there's so many selling points of the Serenity Framework that we are going to discuss. Guys, in this video we are mainly going to talk about how we can generate the reports in Serenity Framework. So in the last lecture we have already discussed about how you can create your Serenity Framework, or in simple words how you can set up the Serenity Framework in your system, how you can run your first test case using Serenity Framework, and this is what we have developed. This was a very basic script where we were only starting Google and we did some activity just to check everything is working fine or not. Now in order to generate the report, you need to make few changes in your pom.xml file. And if you go to pom.xml editor and just navigate till the plugin section, and you can see here that we are using two plugins. One is Maven failsafe plugin and Maven surefire plugin. So if you come down here, you will notice there is one configuration tag. There we can provide what test you want to include and what system property variable you want to use. So right now we are not talking about these variables. We'll discuss once we move forward. As of now, in the include section you can include how many tests you want to include when you want to run your build. Okay, so right now I have given double star, it's a wildcard. So I'm telling search or scan all the packages. Okay, we do not have any restriction that go to only test case packages or any specific name. When we give double star, it means it is going to scan all the folders or all the packages. Then inside the packages, I'm again giving star. That starting can be anything. If the test cases or the Java classes is ending with testcases.java or testcase.java, it is going to execute all the test scenarios. Right now, at this moment in my project, I have only one package and I have only one class, which is my first testcase.java. So definitely it is going to take it only one class and it will run. So in let's say if I create another class, and that class I will say verification test case or validation test case. So in that case, this particular expression will include all the scenarios because it is going to match in all the packages. If any of the class is ending with testcase.java, it will include that. Second thing which we want to just have a look, that we have an execution tag, and in the executions tag we have one execution which has two goals. Okay, one is integration test and one is verify. So in case if we want to generate the report, okay, we want to run this particular goal. So if you go back to their official documentation, this was the starter guide which we have used, right? So in case if we want to use that particular reports, the moment you say mvn clean is the standard goal which will delete the target folder and verifies the goal that is coming under execution tag. So you can also run integration test, it will run only integration test. We are going to use verify. Okay, so let's run that particular command and let's see how it generates the report. So first of all, I need the path, so I'm going to get the location where my all the framework is located. So right now the framework is under desktop and this is the folder. Now I'm going to go back to terminal. So let's open the terminal and let me increase the font size, and just let me type first of all cd and this is the space. Okay, now I will say mvn clean and verify. And guys, if you don't have Maven installed, okay, then this command will not work. So make sure you install Maven in your system. I'm using Mac, so I haven't configured Maven in my Mac, but in case you're working with Windows, you can download the zip file and you can set up the path. So it is going to trigger the test, and once the test is done, it is going to generate the report for us. So this is already we have discussed. So it will take one instance of browser, it will run the test, and it will close the browser. So this is just a basic test. So it is going to do some activity on Google, close it, and let me just check the report. So if you see the terminal, test passed, and by default all the reports will be going to a specific directory. So let me open that directory and I will show you the report part. Yeah, build is success. Now go back to Eclipse and just refresh. So just right click, refresh, and you will see the target folder. Inside target folder you will also find a separate folder called site, and if you open the Serenity folder you will find one index.html file. This is the main report. So the moment you open this in a web browser, you will find this Serenity report. Let me show you this in a browser. Okay, so as of now it is not showing any screenshot because we have not taken any screenshot, but in case if you have any screenshot will be added in your report as well. So as of now you can see this is the summary part and this is the test result. Right now we have only one test, so it is showing only one. In case if you have multiple tests, all will be listed here. And right now this requirement tab will not make much sense. Once you move to BDD, you will see the requirement tab will have more details. So this is just a basic report for the first test that we have executed. Once I will have multiple tests with the screenshots, you will see this report will have more features. Okay, so for report you don't have to do anything. You just need to run your test with Maven command and reports will be generated for you. Okay. Today in this lecture we are going to talk about a special class which is present in Serenity Framework called PageObject. Now this class is a totally different class. This is nothing related to PageObject model. PageObject model is a separate design pattern that we will discuss in upcoming videos. So how we can combine PageObject model with PageObject class. But right now we are only going to talk about this particular class which is available in Serenity Framework. So now if you go back to the project that we have created, we are not using any PageObject class. But if you want to utilize or if you want to gain the maximum benefit from the Serenity framework, then you need to use this class called PageObject. So it's a separate class where they have separate, the multiple methods which you can reuse directly for your framework or for your scripts. So I would say they're kind of reusable methods which you can use for your project. So it's independent of your project. Okay, so you can reuse them. So how to use this? First of all, you need to use one keyword called extends and just type page object, and you can see we have multiple options for page object. So what same class is available into two packages. If you notice, this is coming from Serenity BDD core pages and this is also coming from a different package. Both are exactly same, but this is the new folder structure, so we'll go with the first one. So it's a separate abstract class which we can use for our test automation. Okay, so if you want to see the different methods available under page objects, just press control from the keyboard and click on this class. You will get to this particular class, and if you see the outline, this is the outline of this particular class. So let me expand this. Can you see this? How many methods it's already available for us to directly use it. So if you notice, they have a couple of constants created. So these are a couple of final static constants which is available. You will also get the WebDriver reference directly from this page object, and couple of methods which we can directly use. Okay, like in case if you want to get the driver, then you can get this two different methods. One is for set driver with driver. In case if you want to upload any file or data, then they have a dedicated methods available called upload data in a string format, upload data with byte format. In the same way, you can also set the timeouts. And can you see this multiple conditions? Wait for expected conditions, wait for rendered element, wait for presence of. So if you have worked with Selenium earlier, then you must have aware of WebDriver wait, which is nothing but explicit wait, right? So all these things or all these methods are redefined with proper messages and few more changes, and you will get all these methods with PageObject class. Okay, and you can see all these methods. Wait for text to disappear, text to appear, should contain text, should contain all the text. All these conditions are present here. So what you need to do, you just need to extend this PageObject class and you can use all the methods with the help of inheritance. Okay, so we are going to use this particular page object in upcoming sessions. Okay, so in the next session I will show you how you can use this page object class, but I would recommend you to explore this page object class whenever you have free time. It's very useful, and in case if you don't want to go with Serenity framework as well, you can still use the same functionality or the methods in your normal framework as well. Now another interesting thing which I found here is WebelementFacade. So till now we have worked with WebElement, which is nothing but a separate interface which will deal with WebElement. But in Serenity framework we have a separate interface called WebelementFacade. So this will have all the features of WebElement because it extend all the features. Plus it also have few more methods that I will be showing you. Apart from this, they also have multiple find methods. Till now we have find, element and find elements, but you can see here we have multiple find method with bilocator, with locator, with list, find nested conditions, okay, find each, find first. All these different methods are available, but again they are available with WebelementFacade, okay. And so I will show you this how to use WebelementFacade. Apart from this, if you scroll down, there's some wait for conditions, okay. So wait for the refresh, wait for a specific condition. In case if you want to provide your conditions, you can also work with alert. So it's impossible to cover each and every method, so whenever you have time, please go with the methods which they have, okay, and try to use if it is fitting for your requirement. Now whenever you start working with PageObject, you will also deal with WebelementFacade. Again, it's completely optional. If you don't want to use it, you can still work with WebElement, but in case if you want to get some extra benefit of this particular framework, you should explore this WebelementFacade as well. So what exactly is WebelementFacade? Let me explain you through code. Okay, so in the last session we extended the page object, right? Now this was the first script that we created with in our previous videos, right? Now let me create some different script and let's use this WebelementFacade, and you can also work with WebElement directly. So in order to demonstrate this, I'm going to use this particular application, which is Orange HRM. Again guys, it's up to you. If you don't want to use this application, take any application of your choice, because concept is going to be same. So let's say I want to do the login operation or any basic operation on this web page. So let's say I want to, first of all, let's say I inspect this particular page, and I want to inspect this particular text box. So this has an ID called text username. It has a name attribute and the type attribute. So let me first of all copy paste this application URL here, and let me also change, okay, let me remove this code. Or what I can do, I can create a separate script so that you will have both the test cases, and I will say this is login test scenario, okay. And now I can make the changes in this particular script. So first of all, I'm going to override the application URL, and this time I'm not going to use driver.findElement. The moment you start working with PageObject, the moment you extend the PageObject class, you can use a dollar symbol here, okay, and in brackets you can write the locator of your choice. I will repeat again, you just need to put dollar. You don't need to say driver.findElement, all this stuff, and by.id. So this was the earlier approach. We used to do like driver.findElement by id, and we used to get web element, and we used to do this. But this now you can replace with a dollar symbol. The moment you say dollar, it will automatically understand that you are trying to find an element, but you need to also provide the locator. Let's say I want to work with locator. So the moment you give any ID, okay, let's say the ID name is text username. So text username you can pass. So what exactly it is going to return? So it is going to return you a separate interface called WebelementFacade. It is coming from Serenity BDD core pages. So you can store this, let's say, as a username. Now you should ask a question, what is the difference between WebElement and WebelementFacade? So let me open this particular interface first of all. So it's also interface, and the main thing is it also extends a web element. It means whatever thing you have done so far with web element, still you can do the same thing with WebelementFacade. Plus it also extends different classes. Can you see this? Sorry, it also extends the multiple interfaces, not the classes, and all these methods are implemented. Okay, so you will see a different set of methods like set window focus, select, deselect. So these are the options which you used to get with select class, right? Wait until enable, wait until clickable, wait until disabled, and just a second, type and tab, type and enter. So these are the things which was not present in web element. But since this particular interface extend all the different interfaces, okay, so you will get multiple set of methods now. So let me show you. Let's say I want to do username. Now the moment I say dot, I'm getting all the options, right? Can you see this? The list is too long because now we have multiple methods. Now we don't need to implement explicit wait and all. Directly they have given a method, should be enabled, should be present, should be visible. It means until unless this particular condition is not true, it is going to wait. Okay, and same thing you can do here. Should not be enabled, should not be present, should not be visible. So now you can see these methods are coming directly from select class, right? We used to create object of select class, then we used to call this method. These methods are directly present here. Okay, so get value, has focus, is clickable, is currently enabled. All these additional methods comes along with your web element facade. So let's say I'm going to take one method from web element facade and I will show you how it works. So let's say I want to type. Now if you go with normal web elements, you will get send keys, right, which was the traditional method. And now if you go with web element facade, you will get three different methods. One is type, which is exactly how send keys works. But the moment you work with type and enter, so what it does, it will do some type operation and then it will press enter from the keyboard. Now we have another method called type and tab. The moment, let's say, you want to move to the next web element, so this will do the send keys, then it will also perform a tab operation. So I will use this. So let me just first of all type something. Let's say this was my username, and now let me enter the password as well. Okay, so this time I will use name. So in spite of storing all this I only did just to show you how this web element facade works. But in case if you want to work directly, you can say dollar again, whatever locator you want to use. Let's say I want to use name. Okay, by I am taking directly from Selenium, and I will be using name locator in double quotes, provide the name, and now I will say type and enter. Now why I'm doing enter, because the moment I enter the password, the moment I hit enter, it should log in, right? So I don't need to click on the login button. If I press enter from the keyboard, that also should be fine. So same thing I'm doing here. I am entering username, I'm entering password, and I'm calling one method called type and enter. Now if you right click, run this test, and let's observe the behavior. So it is going to take few seconds. It is going to launch Chrome, because in our properties file we have Chrome, and it will launch. Okay, so this is the application. It was running somewhat here, so I could not focus much. So let's run it again and see the behavior. Right click, run as JUnit test, and yeah, here is the session. So it will log in, admin, and you can see after the password it is doing enter action from the keyboard, and it is able to log in, because this element or this method is coming from web element facade. So this is just one method, but we have multiple methods from web element facade that you can use for your project. Okay, the one thing which I like about web element facade is the explicit wait conditions which comes along with it, right? The moment it should be, because the most of the time the problem is either element is not visible or it is not clickable, right? So they have clearly renamed this method like should be visible. So until and unless it is not visible, it is not going to move to the next statement. So once it is visible, then only you can do the operation. So it returns void as of now. Okay, so before calling a particular event, you can call this method should be visible, then only do the operation. Okay, and in case if you want to see from where it is coming, how many classes are implementing, so right now This is coming from web element state. Okay, and this interface is also extended by web element facade. Okay, so if you go here, you can see this, right? So the classes which implement web element facade, it has to implement all the interfaces which is listed here. Okay, so not only for UI, which is web UI, it will be applicable for Android as well. So you can see Android UI automator finds by accessibility ID. This all you can directly use for iOS and Android as well. In this lecture, we are going to talk about how we can implement page object model in Serenity Framework. So in the last section, we have already seen a dedicated class which is available in Serenity Framework called PageObject class. But when it comes to PageObject model, we need to do a small change when you work with Serenity Framework. Okay, so we also talk about one separate annotation called steps and step. So the moment you start working with Serenity with page object model, it is very important to use @steps and @step annotation. So let me show you one by one. So this is what we have so far. So this is what we did. We created our first scenario with Serenity, and then we created one login test scenario where we have used the page object. Now let's create one more scenario, and this time we are going to create a page object model. We are going to implement page object model where we will have a test scenario. We will have the pages as well. So for that, let me create another test, and this time maybe I can copy paste the same scenario because we are going to make few changes. So I will say this is the login application with page object or with page object. Okay, so now what we need to do, first of all, this is exactly what we need to do. First of all, we have to use this managed where we can get the WebDriver reference. Okay, and now I'm going to remove this. Okay, let's do one thing. Let me create everything from the scratch so that you should not get confused, because if you're following this video from the scratch, okay, and if you have not watched my previous videos, then you will not understand this. So let me create everything from scratch. I'm creating a class, and this time I will say login application with page object, and I'm not taking public static void main because we need to run this with Serenity Framework. So first of all, I will annotate this class with run with, and here we are going to use Serenity runner dot class. Second thing, we need the WebDriver reference, right? So the moment is a WebDriver driver, and this is going to come from Serenity. So we are going to use one separate annotation called managed, okay, and this will maintain that WebDriver instance, plus it will also maintain before test and after test. It will start the browser and will close the browser. So this managed annotation will take care of closing and starting the browser. Now let me create the test. So let's say public void login as admin. This is what the test is. I want to log into this application as a admin credential. So if you see this particular application, okay, when I log in with admin username and password, I will be navigated to the dashboard. So here, first of all, I have to deal with home page. This is the home page, right? Now in home page, I have this login section. So I'm going to create a home page class. Okay, right now we have not created, so I will show you a different way how you can create class directly from here. So I'm assuming that we have to create one home page class, and the reference will be home. And right now there's no class, right? So in Eclipse we have a feature. If this class does not exist, Eclipse will ask you, do you want to create this as a class? So you can, yes, you can directly create a class from Eclipse, and you can also tell in which package you want. So right now you can see it has one package called test cases. So I can go ahead and say that I don't want in this package. So you can create a fresh package, and this package name I will give as let's say hrm.pages. So this is orange HRM application, so I have given hrm.pages. Okay, and now this home page class does not exist, so I will say go to this particular package and create this class. That's all. So you will see this page, sorry, this class created, and now we have to use this class. This is actually our test, so I will say @test, and now we can continue with our scenario. So now if you notice, we can directly say driver.get, and then we can continue with username, password, login button, and everything. But since we are following page object model here, we need to create methods inside this, right? But there's a small twist here. The moment you start working with Serenity, okay, you need to use two more annotations this time. So let's say if you're working with homepage, then here you need to use one separate annotation called steps. Okay, this steps is coming from again Serenity packages, and if you put mouse over on this annotation, so what it does, it will mark a class that implement test steps as individual methods. Okay, try to repeat this again. It will mark that class that implement test steps as an individual method. So each and every step will be a separate method. Okay, and if you have multiple pages, all the pages should have @steps annotation. I will show you one by one. So for the time being, let's say we have only one page called home page, so we need to use one @steps, and now we need to create multiple methods here. Okay, these methods will do some sort of activity. So in this class we have to create now methods. Now each method will be a separate step. If you are doing 500 activity or 50 activity, you can convert them into a step. So just stay with me. Once you get the report, you will understand the importance of this step. For the time being, just follow what I'm doing and try to implement the same thing. So when you do log into this application, you have certain activities, right? You need to log into the application by entering username, password, click on login button. So let's do one thing. Let's create one method. This method will simply verify the title first of all. This is one method which is verifying the title. Second thing, I want to enter username, password. So I will say enter credentials. Okay. Second thing, or let's say third thing, I want to verify after entering the credential, do we have dashboard keyword or do we have admin after login? So I will say verify dashboard. Now these are the three methods I have created inside homepage, and now each method is a separate step. Okay, so this is very important, guys. When you went back to your main class, here we use steps because this home page will have multiple steps, but when you go to home page, each method will be a separate step. So just use @step for each and every method, and you will find the same steps in your reports as well. Okay, so I will be using this step, and you can also get description about each step. Okay, so let's say I will say this step will verify the title, and second step you also can give the description that this step will allow us to log into application, and the last one you can say that this will verify the dashboard. For the dashboard. Now within this methods, now you have to write all the activities. So that guys, this is again we have created abstraction. Okay, we have created a layer. Now if you go back to their official documentation, if you come under Serenity fundamentals, and if you see this step library, So why this step library is required? So in Serenity, a complex test or the complete test we can break down into reusable steps. So that's what we are doing. We are breaking complete test case into small reusable steps and we will be using them. So this is a home. Okay, so this page is only containing the steps. Now, what about the implementation? What about the methods that we need to write? For that, we are going to create a separate page. So you will be getting confused that why we need one more page because we already created a home page. So guys, this home page is only for the steps, but the actual implementation we need to write in a different pages. So for that, I will create, let's say, another page called Orange HRM home page. This is the actual page where we need to write all the implementation. Okay, and let's say within this I'm going to write few methods. So this is the main page where we have to deal with all the data, right? So let's see, the first method which I want to write is public void verify title. Okay, so this particular method we will call into this particular home page, and the second method we will write public void enter username. Third method I will write enter password, and maybe I can directly do this enter username password. That's all. And once we are done, we will also verify. So I will say public void verify login. Like after verification, are we getting admin and dashboard or not? So I created three methods, and these three methods I will be calling in this home page. So this home page is going to deal with this orange HRM page. So the first step which I need is I need to include this orange HRM, and I will say this, let's say home, and I will say home dot first of all verify title, home dot enter username password, and again I will say home dot verify login. Okay guys, now these steps or these methods are empty as of now. We have not filled any data, so let's go ahead and fill the data. Now if I want to capture the title, right, first of all I need the driver, then only I can capture. So this particular page is going to extend one page object that we already discussed in the last session. So this page object is coming from Serenity Framework, and this class have all the methods which we need for our test automation. Now in order to capture the title, I need driver, right? Then only I say driver or get title. So in page object there is a method called get driver. So you don't need to deal with like from where the driver is coming. You just call this method called get driver, and it is going to return your web driver instance, and you can now continue with get title method. Okay, so this is going to return you as a string, so I will say as a title, and this title you can now assert. So if you just say assert, okay, assert is a separate class available in JUnit which you can directly use, and I will say assert equals where I can pass actual versus expected. So I can also use assert true where I can give boolean condition, and the moment I log in, the title contains orange HRM, right? So if I say if title contains orange HRM, then the test should pass. So this is our first assertion. Second is enter username and password. So guys, again you can continue with web element or you can continue with WebelementFacade. Since I have covered WebelementFacade in my previous videos, so I will directly say dollar by dot, let's say ID, and dot send case, or I will say type method. So this is for username. Same thing I will do for password and login button. So we already have a ID for password. Guys, I'm using ID, but in case if you want to use XPath, CSS or any other locator, please go ahead and use that. Right now I'm using only ID because our main focus is on how to create the test, not on the locator part. Same thing I will do for login button, and maybe I can directly say type and enter. So we have to remove, or I will say type and enter. So I will enter the credentials. Here I will say the username is admin, password is admin123. And once we are done, we need to also verify after login, do we have dashboard in the URL or not, right? So same thing I will do. I will again say get driver dot get current URL. It is going to return me as a string. So I will say current URL, and I'm going to use this same assertion here. And I will say if current URL contains dashboard, it means login is verified. Clear, guys? I'm using WebelementFacade here in case if you want to use driver directly, you will get the driver using get driver. So in case if you directly want to use, you say get driver dot find element by ID. This is also possible, so this also you can use it. And you can continue. Okay, so right now you can see this by is coming from Serenity. In case you have the same class, then you need to give the proper package name. So that's the reason it was coming a lengthy name. So the moment I say get driver dot find element by, so this by already is available, right? So I have to tell that take the by from openqa.selenium. So it will take the full name and then you can continue. Otherwise you can use the by of Serenity Framework. So we are almost done. Now finally let's cross check everything. This was our page. Okay, and we have used manage these steps. Inside this home page we have 3 steps. Each step will have proper definition, and this is the orange HRM page that we're using, which is extending home page object, and it has all the methods. Clear? Now let's go ahead and complete the test. So the first step which we need to do here is we need to provide pass the URL. If this URL is coming from your base serenity.properties file, you can directly use it, else you can pass the URL directly from here. Let me log out from this application and let me take only this part. Second step, already we have a home object, so I will say home dot first of all verify title, then I will say enter credential, and then I will say verify dashboard. Now your test is done, where you're using one page which is home page, and inside home page you have 3 steps. Inside each step we are calling one method which is coming from a different page. So let me run this, then I will draw a diagram and I will explain you again. This is very important and very interesting. So when you're done with the test, right click run as JUnit test and let's see how it behaves. Okay, so double click on the console. Let's wait. Your test started and started with Chrome. Okay, as expected it is logged in and yes, done. So you can see test passed here and you can see the result. Now the main thing which I want to highlight is using report. Okay, so what I will do, I will just go ahead and I will go to the properties and let me run this from Maven build. So again, if you see here, the test case name is login application did with PageObject. So I will go back to pom.xml file, and in the pom.xml file I will tell that go ahead and run this particular test case. So either I can give the full name or I can give, the wildcard. But for this example, let me give the complete name. So I'm going to tell that run any test which contains or which ends with application with PageObject.java. Okay, and one more settings that you can do in your Serenity.properties file, that you can tell for each steps you want to take the screenshot. For that we have a dedicated key and value pair. Okay, so the key will be Serenity dot take dot screenshot. So there's a definite dedicated key available where you can tell when you want to take the screenshot. Do you want to take the screenshot for each steps or for each action? So the value would be for each action. At this moment I want to take for each action, but in case if you want for different steps, that also is possible. So I will show you the different values which is available and which you can pass. So what I did, I simply changed the pom.xml file where I want to run only one test which ending with application with page object. I did second change with properties file. Now let me run this. So again I will go back and I will open the repository or the folder. Now let me open terminal. So I will say cd and I will just take the location. Okay, so this is the location. So I will say cd and we are already in the directory. So if you want to see, just type ls and you can see we have a pom.xml file. Now I want to run mvn clean and verify. The moment you hit enter, it will wait for a few seconds and then it will start your test. So test will remain same because we are just running in a different way. So why we are running this command? Because I want to see the report, how the report will look like when we give screenshot for each steps or action, and when we give steps library, how much impact it will make on your report. So let's wait. Okay, so test got passed and once it is done, I will go ahead. This is actually saying build success. Okay, so test result for one test generated. Now let me go back to our project, refresh, target, site, Serenity. You will find one file called index.html file. So just open this in a web browser. So copy this, open in a separate browser. So you can see the test executed. This is the test result. When you click on login as admin, can you see this? Each and every step is coming in a report with proper screenshot. We have not done any changes in the code. We just changed one small property file that we want screenshot for each and every action, and automatically it associated screenshot for each action. Now let's go ahead and see how it is mapping this report with the code which we have written. So for this I will go back to Eclipse and let me close everything from here and let me just open login application with page object. And now this is the report. So the first thing is login as admin. So this is the test case. So this is the actual method in Java, but if you see in the report, it is coming as a separate feature. Okay, so you can see login as admin, and inside this whatever steps we have written. So this was the step, this was the step. So these are the description of the steps. So each and every step is coming here. This step will verify the title. This step will allow us to log into the application. So each step is coming in the reporting. Plus for each step, okay, now if you go back in our properties file. So what we did, for each action we want a screenshot. So it has captured the screenshot and automatically it has linked with the steps. So for title, this was the step, and these are the two screenshots because here we have two action, right? One action was, if you go back here, enter username password. So the first action was admin, when you type admin. So this is the first step, right? So the first action. Second action was type and enter. So the moment you say type and enter, this was the screenshot. So for each and every action is taking the screenshot. The last one was verify the dashboard, and this is the screenshot. So total 4 outcomes, total time it has taken. And right now the requirement tab does not have much information, but once you start working with the BDD, Cucumber or JBehave, this report will have more information. Then you will see how it is mapping all the feature file in the report. Very interesting part when it comes to Cucumber, but for the time being only focus on the scenarios. So by default it created one tag for you, and it is assuming that you have a story, and story is this. Okay, so test result, this is the feature, this is the scenario. In case if you have multiple tests, okay, so let's say you are having multiple tests here, then all these tests will be coming as a scenario. Okay, so before we end this video, let me draw a small diagram so that you should not get confused. So I'm going to draw a small picture. That first of all, what we did, we created, let's say this is our Serenity framework, and this was our test case. So in the test we have used one @steps annotation, and this was the actual test. So this was having actual test. Now for each steps, okay, let me change this to steps because this will create confusion. So this is not the step, it has steps in the main test case. And it also deals with one home page. So we created a dedicated class called home page, okay, and let's say this is home page. And for each steps, okay, let's say home page have 3 activities or 3 methods. So each method we have are annotated with @step. So this is also one of the step, this is also one of the step, and this is also one of the step. Now we have a relation that from home, from the main test case, we are going to call the home page. Now each and every step should also have the implementation, right? So we are not going to write implementation in this page. For this we created a dedicated class, which is nothing but again a home page. So for each method we have written a separate method here, and we have given the implementation in this particular class. Okay, so the flow will be write the test scenario, write the pages, okay, create all the steps, and finally the implementation has to be done on the different class. So this is what the abstraction they have created. And you can see for each and every step you can capture the screenshot and it will come into the report. Now you can do the same thing when you work with JBehave, Cucumber, and when you're working with REST API as well. Process will remain same. You just need to remember 2 most important annotation steps and the @step. I hope it is clear. If it's still not clear, let me know in the comment section. Feel free to ask any question related to this because it might look little complicated when you do it first time, but once you used to it, it is very easy. Okay. Today in this lecture, we are going to talk about how you can configure Serenity Framework with Cucumber 4. So in this lecture, we are mainly going to talk about, first of all, how you can set up a project with Cucumber 4, and we'll talk about the folder structure, the default files, which is configuration files and other files which you will get when you configure your project. Then we will run some existing tests which comes along with the GitHub, which we will download. Okay, so we'll download a small repository which is kind of a starter guide for us, and we'll try to run some existing tests which already provided by Serenity, and we'll run them. If they works fine, we will also verify the reports, and once everything is done, if everything is running fine, then we will go ahead and run our own tests. We'll create our own test scenarios and we will run them with Serenity. Okay, and we will customize the report as well. Now if you are completely new to Cucumber and Serenity, then I would recommend I have one of the playlists available on my YouTube channel where I discussed about the Serenity in detail, what is Serenity BDD, why we need, how we can run the normal web scenarios using Serenity. So if you want to run with Cucumber, then this is the video for you. But in case if you want to run your traditional test automation with Serenity, this is the playlist which you can follow. Okay, so now let's go back and see how we can start Serenity with Cucumber 4. Okay, again why I'm mentioning Cucumber 4, because Cucumber 4 is the latest version, and in case if you want to use earlier versions of Cucumber, then there's a separate starter guide available. So in case if you want to work with older Cucumber versions, then you can follow Serenity Cucumber Starter. But if you want to directly start with Cucumber 4, this is the perfect starter guide for you. So what you need to do, you just need to open this, and you can see it's updated recently. Okay, so let's open this GitHub repository, and you will find existing libraries which is already configured with the test with all the properties file, pom.xml file, and they have also given how you can run the test. Okay, so I will walk you through everything one by one. So first thing, you need to download this repository. Either you can clone it or you can download a zip file and import in your local Eclipse. So I have already downloaded the zip file, so I will show you. The moment you download this zip file, it will come something like this. Okay, and the moment you extract this zip file, you will get this folder. So if you open this folder, you will get a pom.xml file which we need. And in case if you're working with Gradle, then you have to work with build.gradle file. I'm working with Maven, so I have to mainly focus on pom.xml. But in case if you're working with Gradle, this is the file for you which you have to make changes. Now the second step, you need to import this in your current Eclipse workspace. So let me show you step by step. So click on import and click on existing Maven project. Click on the browse feature, and now let me go back to my desktop, Serenity Cucumber, and this is the folder which is already extracted. So I'm just going to open this folder. It will detect the pom.xml file and you can simply click on finish. It will take few seconds and this project will be imported in your local system. You can see it started importing, and one thing which you can notice here, that it is taking the latest version of Cucumber, which is 4.8.0. So let's wait for the project import and then we will resume the video. Yes, now project already imported to a workspace. Now let me show you the complete structure one by one. Okay, and we will make the changes in the next video, but let's understand the folder structure and the files which is already present so that we can change them based on our requirement. So first of all, since we are working with test, so we are not going to make much changes in the src main java, so ignore this folder. Main part is src test java, where we have to start writing our test uh, test if you're working with Cucumber, we'll call this as step definitions. Okay, so we'll keep all the step definitions under step definitions, and we will keep pages, okay, based on our requirement. So here right now they have search category, navigation category, and they already have given one new matches package where they have written one text matcher functions. Now one more package which actually have the test suite which will run our Cucumber test scenarios. Okay, so right now we are not going to make any changes. So this starter have the main test suite which will run your feature files or the test scenarios. And these three packages, okay, they have the pages which we are going to use. So we are basically going to follow page object model here, and we'll write our own pages and we'll call that pages in the step definitions. So if you try to open this step definition, okay, so right now it has three steps library. We have discussed this steps library in our previous videos. In case if you haven't seen that videos, please go ahead and watch. So this steps library is coming from Serenity. So right now they are dealing with three pages, and these are some tests they have written. Now this part is done. This is all about the step definitions, pages, and the test runner. Now if you open this Maven dependency, you will find it is using latest Cucumber, which is Cucumber 4. Okay, so let's go ahead and see Cucumber libraries. Just a second, you will find here. There's so many libraries are here. Yes, so this is Cucumber expressions. Yeah, Cucumber Java 4.8.0 and Cucumber Core, which is also 4.8.0. So perfect. Now it's updated with the latest Cucumber. Now we are not dealing with Gradle. So if you open the Serenity property, right now it has only one property, which is just a project name. And if you open pom.xml, all these dependencies, plugins you will find here. Okay, so if you try to read this, right now these are some basic properties, and the properties they are using Serenity version 2.0.91. Okay, Cucumber version, Serenity Cucumber, it's not the actual Cucumber, it's internal one, so it is 1.0.30. This is the main version which you're using, 4.8.0, and these are some additional properties. So right now it has basically you can execute 4 tests in parallel and base URL. So this base URL anyways we will set in our config file. These are some other options, okay, repositories, and main part is dependencies. So these are the dependencies which is coming with this project. And finally we need one failsafe plugin. You can also run the test in the Surefire plugin, but right now they are using one Maven Surefire plugin and Maven failsafe plugin. So using this plugin they are running this couple of tests which I will show you now. Okay, don't worry. And these are some other system property variables where you can change the base URL and other things. Don't make any changes as of now. Once we have a requirement, we will change this pom.xml file. Just try to open this file and read this. Okay, so this is about the pom.xml file, and let's do one more thing. Open src test resource. Here you will find the configuration file, and in the configuration file if you see right now default it will take Chrome driver when you run your test, and these are the Chrome switches. In case if you want to make any changes in your settings, you can come and make the changes here. Right now headless mode is true. It means whatever test you will run, which I will show you in few minutes, it will run in headless mode. Later on we'll change this property and we will run in a normal mode. And these are the drivers. So the moment you download this project, okay, this GitHub repository, by default it will come with these drivers. So they have created this navigation for Windows, these three browsers with exes, for Mac and Linux. So if you want to see this, just come here, open this web driver, and you will see. So this is drivers, and for Windows, for Mac and Linux, so you can see here this is Linux, Mac and Windows. Now these are the environment, like you can have multiple environments. So by default they are giving one default environment and three other environment. So how to use this environment, we will also see how you can use the different environments. So let's assume you have different landscape. Okay, you have dev landscape, staging landscape, production landscape. So you don't want to make changes in your test scenarios, you can come to this configuration file and you can make the changes. Now the last part and the most important part is the feature file, which is the main heart of your Cucumber, right? So if you open this search, they are giving one feature file. This feature file have two scenarios, so they're just doing a basic search. Okay, and this is what this test is all about. So we'll run this test and we'll see how it runs, and we'll verify the reports. So how do we run this? Again, if you go back, they have already mentioned how you can run. So if you want to run your test, okay, you can see here, you just need to run Maven verify, and if you're working with Gradle, you just need to say Gradle test. So let's do one thing. Let's do mvn clean and verify. So I'm not giving any additional property. So let's run them on Chrome, and the next stage we will run on the Firefox. So this is my terminal, and you can actually run them from Eclipse as well, but let me show you from the terminal directly. So first of all, let me go back to that exact location. So it is available under Serenity Cucumber. This is the main folder. Here I have two zip file and two folders, so I will simply switch to this particular folder. So I will say cd Serenity Cucumber 4. Okay, if I put ls, yes, I have pom.xml file. So let me simply run this. I will say, okay, this is the main URL, which I will show you in minutes from where you can get this link. For the time being, just remove this. Just say mvn clean and verify. So it will take few seconds, depends on your internet connection. If you have existing libraries, it will start immediately. Otherwise, whatever libraries are missing, it will download and then it will continue. So you can see test starting, and you can see the info logs now. Serenity started, and by default, guys, it is in headless mode because that file hidden mode is equal to true. So all the tests run in the backend and you will directly get the reports. So one test passed. Now it will run another test, which is nothing but the actual scenario which we have mentioned in the feature file, and that is very basic test. So it passed very quickly, and you can see, yeah, test started and passed. Perfect. So finally you can see some console logs that all the tests are done, 2 passed, total time 23 seconds, and you can find the full report under target folder. Again we have site folder, Serenity folder, and the main file is this. Okay, so let me show you this file. Go back to Eclipse, just refresh your project, you will find a target, and go to site, go to Serenity, go to index.html file, which is this, and here we go. So this is the final report. Let me open this in a Chrome browser. So right now, if you see the summary part and if you see the test result, these are the features. So if I go back and open Eclipse, don't worry guys, I will show you how you can create your own test. As of now, let's understand the functionality. So if I go to src, not src, src feature search, so you can see the feature file was search by keyword. Okay, so same feature file but two different scenarios. So scenario 1 was searching for term, which is already here, and another was refining a search using the two terms, which is this. If you open the scenario, so this has 3 steps: given, when, then, and this has given and when, then. So this has 3 steps, this has 4 steps. And see the beauty of Serenity, for each and every step, okay, it will show you how much time it has taken and the screenshot, proper screenshot. This was the first screenshot. Second screenshot was when he searches for cucumber, so this is the one, and the finally the result one. Right now, if you go back, see the other test, which is refining a search using two terms. It has 4 steps, and for each step you have a proper screenshot with the outcome of each step and finally how much time each step has taken. Perfect. Now let's go back to requirement. Now you can see this actually a tree structure. So if you try to relate, this is the search part, right? And this is search by keyword, which is nothing but your feature file. So for each feature, it is going to create a folder, and this folder has two scenarios, and these are the details of these scenarios. So if you see the report part, it is very impressive. They are actually creating complete hierarchy, whatever you have mentioned in your Eclipse, and it is giving you the same hierarchy with proper screenshot about each and every step. Okay, so just we'll explore this again. We can make some changes, like if you want to change this and if you want to customize this report, we'll talk about this the later stage. Now if you just open this part terminal, once your test is done, okay, I just want to show you one more information. Okay, it's not here. Just let me open that file, which is serenity.config file. Okay, so you will find a link in the configuration file regarding this environment. So in case if you want to make any changes in the environment, so there's a detailed article by John. You can just open this URL and you just go through this URL. It's mainly about how you can run the test into different environment. Anyways, we'll discuss about this in dedicated video, but in case if you want to go ahead, so John is the founder and the guy who has created this library. Okay, so this is his blog. You can go through his blog. He has given awesome tutorials about Serenity Framework. So we can now run the same test in normal mode. So I will go back here and I will change this value to false, and I will simply run the same command and it will run in a normal mode. Let's wait for the execution. Yes, it started now, and you will see some other links, okay, while this test are running. So please go ahead and explore the links which they have mentioned. It is going to simply just go to this DuckDuckGo, which is another search engine, search for cucumber, and similar test, but they're just verifying two different things. And yes, it's done. Okay, so browser opening, closing, everything they have already taken care. You just need to focus on your test. And finally, you will see the result, and same report you will get in the directory, which you can verify. So report part will not change, only the mode of execution has changed. Perfect. So you can see it's very easy. Now our task is to write our own step definition. Okay, so first of all, we'll write our own feature file, own step definition, we'll write pages. Okay, and finally we will run them using Cucumber test runner and pom.xml file. That's we will discuss in the next video. Today in this lecture we are going to talk about how you can create and execute your first Cucumber scenario with Serenity Framework. So in the last lecture we already discussed how you can set up your project with Serenity and Cucumber 4. So in case if you haven't watched that video, I would recommend you to watch my video where we discussed about setting up the project in Eclipse. And in this video we are mainly going to talk about how you can run your own test, not the sample one which is coming with Serenity. So we'll go ahead and create our first feature file. We'll write the scenarios within that feature file, and we are going to use page object model again. So we are going to create pages, and once we're done with the pages, we'll write our step definition file. We'll execute that step definition using test runner, and finally we will execute this test runner using Maven. So let's go ahead and let me switch back to Eclipse. This is what we had seen earlier. Now guys, if you want to delete the existing folder packages, you can do that. Okay, but if you don't want to mess up with the older things, you can create everything from scratch. So I'm not going to make any changes. I will still follow the same search folder which is coming, but in case if you want to create another folder, you can go ahead, create another folder within feature files, sorry, within this features folder, and continue for the time being. Okay, in the next lectures we will say if you want to create another folder. For the time being, let's create one file, okay, and I will follow one application, guys, which is this one, okay, which is orange HRM site, and we'll try to simply log in and log out. Don't focus on the scenarios. You can automate any scenarios. It's up to you which requirement you have, what you want to automate. My main focus is how you can use this framework. Okay, so once you understand, you can automate any complex scenarios as well. And once you will log into this application, we'll verify whether we successfully logged in or not. And in case if you want to implement sign out also, you can take this as an assignment and write the logout functionality. Okay, so open Eclipse, go to that search folder and create your first feature file. I will say login to application, and I will give extension as dot feature, so automatically you can see it is coming some default feature file. And if you want take as a reference, you can take this as a reference, but if you don't want, Control A and delete. Now you can write the first feature. So we will write only one feature as of now, and this feature I will consider as login to HRM application. The application which we are using is Orange HRM, so I will say login to HRM. Then I will create my first scenario. So I will say scenario colon, and you can say the moment I am writing this gherkins, it is already detecting these keywords. So guys, if you're completely new to Cucumber, I would again recommend you to watch my Cucumber series where we discussed about gherkins keyword and other stuff as well. So I'm assuming you are familiar with Cucumber, gherkins and everything. So scenario says login with admin rights, or I will say valid credentials. Okay, now I can use again gherkins. I will say given user is on home page, let's say, or dashboard page, or any page which you can take as a verification that user is on the right page. Then, or I will say when user enter admin as username, I'm hard coding the data. Once we move forward, we will parameterize this. As of now, let's focus on how we can use it. Parameter part we can see later. User enter admin123 as password, and finally we'll write then user should be able to log in. This is what my requirement is. I just need to write a login scenario, and I just need to verify user is able to log in with their valid credentials or not. Once you are done, let's run as Cucumber feature, and the moment you run this, you can see we got the glue code. Okay, this is the glue code which we got. Now this is the glue code that we need to implement. So right now it says one scenario which is undefined, 4 steps which is undefined, and now we need to implement these missing steps. So just copy this, and you can go ahead, you can create your own packages, but as of now I'm using this existing packages. And now I will create our own step definition, and I will say login to application. I will click on finish, and I will simply copy paste the snippet which we got, and right now you can see it is not able to understand these keywords. So we need to tell that these are the actual the libraries which is coming from Cucumber. Now there's a small hint here that in case if you are working with older versions, okay, then you can go with cucumber.api.java.in. Now if you're using Cucumber 4, always go ahead with io.cucumber. Okay, just keep a note. So I will do the same thing for others. I will implement from io.cucumber since I want to work with cucumber 4. So we implemented all the missing steps, okay, and what you need to do, you just remove this unnecessary statements which we have. Okay, just take this, keep them blank. Okay, and now if you notice one thing, that since I have written admin 123 here, right, admin 123, so now it is expecting that you can pass this as a parameter. Okay, you can see it is expecting integer argument. So as of now we are not playing with the arguments. Let's keep it very simple. So this is what the step definition we have, and now you can use this for the execution. Now we need to write the actual code here. So I just have to actually work with two pages. If you see, this is the home page, and when I log in I will get the dashboard page, right? So I will create two pages now. One I will consider as a home page, which I will create a reference as a home, and right now it is giving me error because this page does not exist, right? So that's fine. I will also create another page called dashboard page, which also does not exist. So it will also throw error for this as well. I will keep this as a home and dash. So let's create these pages. Now if you would want Eclipse to create this, what you can do, you can click on this option called create class. Okay, and now it will ask you in which package you want. So you can tell that I want in if you select any specific page, okay, it will go ahead and create in that page. But if you don't want, let's assume that you want to create a new package. I have simply named as pages. Now I will ask Eclipse to create one home page class for me and keep that class in pages. Click on finish, and this is done. Same thing I will do for another page, which is nothing but a Java class. I will ask Eclipse that create a class which is dashboard and create under pages package. Done. Now if you just save this file, it's done. So the first step, you need to tell Serenity that these are my two steps. Okay, so there's a steps library available. So you will use two annotations now. One is steps and one is step. So when you are in the step definition, use steps, and when we will implement these steps, we will use step library. Don't worry, don't get confused. I will show you one by one. Just allow me a couple of minutes. So we are telling Serenity that yes, we have two pages, home page and dashboard pages, and these are the two steps. Now let's go back to the home page and let's write the methods. So in the home page, basically I want to make username, password, and click on login button. So I will create some methods within this home page that I will refer in the step definition. So the first method which I want to write here, public void, let's say open application. Okay, that is one method. Sorry, just a second. Yeah. Second method which I want to write, enter username, password, and click on login button. So I will not take much time. I will just copy paste them. Here I will say enter username, enter password, and this I will say click on login button. Now here you need to tell Serenity that each and everything is a step. This is also a step, and this step is a library which you can import. Okay, so just keep everything as a step here. Now what is happening within these steps, that also we need to tell, right? So for this again we are going to deal with two more pages. So I'm going to create one actual page which is orange HRM page, and same thing we will do for dashboard as well. It's clear now? So what I did, I will just give you one again small recap. We created a small feature file, we executed, we got glue code. Okay, we implemented or we imported this annotations. Now we are dealing with two pages, so I have created two classes, and these two classes we have annotated with @steps. Now each page will have some functionality, right? So I'm just in this page, I just want to make 4 steps: open application, enter username, password, and login button. Same thing I will do for now dashboard page. So I will go back here. In the dashboard page, I will simply say that I want to verify the dashboard. So here I will write only one method called public void verify admin login. I'll just say verify admin. This also is one of the step, so I will mention this is a step, and let's implement. So skeleton is ready, but where is the actual locators that we need to write, right? So here in go to each pages, and I'm going to create one page called orange HRM home page. In the same pages package, I will say orange HRM home page, and I will create one more page called orange HRM dashboard page. Clear? Now these pages will have the actual locators, actual values, okay, and these classes will actually extend the page object class. Okay, so this thing we have already mentioned in my previous videos, page object class. So we are going to use the same page object class which is coming from Serenity Framework. Okay. Okay, so finally let's go ahead and write locators. Whatever activity you want, this will have the main part. Okay, so first of all I will extend the page object class which is coming from Serenity. So page object, once import is done, now you can go ahead and create methods. So the first method which I will write called username, or I will say this enter uname. So now let's identify this. So this is having one ID called text username. So if you want to do any operation, we have seen we have type method, right? And if you want to find out that element, generally if you go with the standard Selenium library, we say driver.find element by ID, and we say dot send keys, right? But this we have seen that if you use dollar, you don't need to do driver.find element. You just say dollar by ID, and you just say which ID you want to use, and you can use type method now which is coming from Serenity, and I will say username is admin. It's capital A. Okay. Now the second step, we need to enter password. So I will again create a method called enter password. You can give any name, guys. I'm just giving some meaningful name. And here, what ID I want password ID. Guys, I'm taking ID, but if you want to use CSS, XPath, any other locator, feel free to use that. I'm just entering the password now, and I have to click on the login button. Or if I click on hit enter, that is also fine. So I will say public void enter or click login button. So I will just copy paste, and let's see, do we have a specific ID for the login? Yes, we have btn login, and this I will say dot click. Clear? Now this is coming from, like, all these dollars, all these methods are coming from PageObject, guys. Same thing we need to do for dashboard, right? For dashboard we don't have actually much, so I'm just going to create only one method, public void login verified. and here I can use assert command, and I can use hamcrust library which is coming here. It's up to you which assertion you want to use. So let's say I want to print as of now the title just to check. So I need the driver, right? I want driver.getTitle, then only I can capture the title or the URL. So if we extend the PageObject class, extends PageObject, and if I simply say get driver, I will get the driver which is currently is in running mode. Okay, I will capture the current URL or the current title, and I will print that. Once you get, you can verify using testng or JUnit or the hamcrust, and I will simply get the title and print as of now. Now we are done. We just need to now call these methods in the respective pages. So let's go back to the home page. So I will tell that we have one orange HRM home page, and in the home page, first of all, I need to open the application. So if you just type .open, it will open the application. Now you must be wondering that we have not written this open method because we have written these four methods only, right? If you go back to the home page, we have written enter username, password, click on login. But how this open method is coming? So guys, this open method is coming from, again, from the page object. Okay, if you want to see, let it download the source code and the documentation. Yeah. Now if you go back, just check. So what this open method will do, this open method will open the WebDriver browser to the base URL. So whatever base URL we will give, it will open that particular browser, which is default as of now Chrome. It will open the default URL which you mentioned. Now in the enter username, we can use this homepage dot enter username, uname, right? This is what we have created. Now same thing we will do for password, homepage dot enter password, and for click on login button, again we have homepage dot click on login. So these three methods which we created in the home page, okay, we are just calling here, and each method is annotated with at the step. Same thing we'll do for dashboard. So this is just one method. So I will go to dashboard page, and I will say that we have an orange HRM dashboard. I will call this as dashboard dashboard, and I don't need to call any open method because it is already the driver is instantiated. So I can continue with the dashboard, and I will say login verified, which we have created here. Now we are good to go. So now if I run this step definition, it should work. But what about this? Because right now it is blank, right? So we need to actually tell, okay, this open application we will call, then we will call home dot enter username, home dot enter password, and home dot click on login button, and then you should be able to log in. So this is actually coming from dashboard, right? So I will call dash, and you can see verify admin. Okay, so now we are done. So ultimately this class, which is nothing but a step definition, is going to deal with two pages: home page, dashboard, four methods, okay, annotated with given, when, and then, and finally we are calling. Let's create now step definition created. Let's create the test runner. So the test runner is already here, guys. which is nothing but your test suite. So if I remove this one, search by keyword, which we don't need now. So what exactly this test runner is saying, that we want to run feature file which is available under features folder. Okay, so if you just run this test runner, it is going to start your application, which is Orange HRM, and it will just log in and verify that. Okay, we did a small mistake, guys. By default, it is taking the default URL, right? So this got failed. So what we just need to give this URL in the config file. So I will go back to the Project Explorer, go to serenity.config, and you can see here we need to make changes. Now it is taking the base URL, and now it will continue. So let's run this test suite again, JUnit test, and you will see it should continue now. It started Orange HRM. It will enter admin123, click on login, and yes, it went to the dashboard, and in the dashboard we have actually captured the title, right? So let's see. Okay, so there are so many logs, so the title we will not see. That's fine, it will be Orange HRM. Now it is done, and if you open this part, we have one feature and one scenario. We're done now. Now let's run the same thing with Maven, then only we'll get the report. So in the pom.xml, go back to pom.xml editor, and if you see this part that include any file, okay, with these regular expressions. So you can see I just want to run which is ending with .test suite. So you can see this one. So if you don't want this, you can remove them. Ultimately we are saying that run any Java file, okay, which is starting with anything. Okay, so this is actually package, guys, and this is a file. Take any package, take any class, it should end with test suite.java, which is nothing but this. So in our case, we have removed the other include parts. Now it is only one include. So now I will go back to terminal, and again I will say mvn clean verify. So same thing we are running, but with Maven. Maven will scan pom.xml file. Pom.xml file we have given that we want to run test suite. The test suite will run the features files which we have. As of now, we have only one feature file, which is login to Orange HRM. Let's start it. And it will continue as it is. So I will draw a small diagram so that you should not get confused, because when you create two different pages for the same activity, you will get confused. Okay, but it's very easy if you see in a big picture. And all the 4 steps are done. All are green. Test executed successfully, 20 seconds, and we'll see the report now. So let's right click, refresh, go to target folder, and go to site, Serenity, and just search for index.html file. Open this in a browser. So first of all, it says login to HRM. So let's verify this. So if you open this particular feature file which says feature is login to HRM, which is here, open this. Okay, right now we have only one scenario, which is login with valid credential, which is here, and these are the 4 steps. And if you go to test results, okay, so you can see two screenshot for the third step, because here we have 2 steps. That is what I want to highlight here. Since you have only one step here, so you can see one screenshot. But if you see this particular step has 2 steps. So let me go back to Eclipse and I will show you. Go to step definition, log into application. Yeah, this part. So enter password is one step. Click on login is also one extra step that we are calling here, right? So you can see you will find 2 screenshots for each step. And finally, you will see user is able to log in, and this is the dashboard page. So it's very easy. It is just you need to understand the navigations, and this is what the hierarchy. So search, this is your search, and this login to application, it actually taken this as a feature and it created a folder which is login to HRM, which has the scenarios. Awesome, right? So this is how it works. I know it's quite lengthy video, but it was required because this is how end-to-end you can create your test scenarios with Cucumber and you can run. Fine. So if you want, I can give you just a small diagram. That first of all, we are going to write a feature file. This feature file, as usual, will have scenarios. So once you run this, you will get the glue code. Then we will write a step definition. Now in the step definitions, you need to mention the steps library. Steps, okay? So let's say if you're dealing with 4 pages, you can include 4 steps. So right now in our case, we are dealing with 2 pages, so we have included 2 steps. Now for each step, okay, let's say this is home and dashboard, we created separate Java classes. So this is for home page and this is for dashboard page, and here you will write the actual steps, how many steps you have. So at the red step here. And the actual locators and the methods we will write in a plain Java file. And these pages will extend this page, and this page also extend PageObject class, which is coming from Serenity. I hope it is clear now. So please give a try. Just follow the exact same tutorial which I have mentioned, and you will be able to run a test. Once you are able to run this login scenario, you can automate any scenario of your choice. Okay. Rest of the Cucumber concept will remain same. It is just now we have integrated with Serenity. If possible, I will export this and I will give you as a zip file. You can import and directly use it, but I want you to try from your side. Okay. And in case if you want to give a try to extend this login.feature file, add one more scenario, or in the same scenario you can continue that after login, if user is clicking on welcome and log out, user should be able to log out. In that case, you can create one more page, okay, which is logout page, add locators, and you can extend this step definition with logout step as well. Take this as assignment, because the moment you start writing the assignment, you will get so many questions, doubts that we can discuss either in the comment section or maybe via email. This is going to be very quick video because here in this video we will only talk about how you can run your existing Serenity test on the different browser and the environment. So in the previous videos we have discussed this part, right? And we have seen how we can configure Serenity with Cucumber. Now if I want to run the same test into different browsers, or if I want to use different environments, how can I run that? So now if I show you one example, let's say this is one of my application, and this application have actually two landscape. One is the staging one, and let's assume this is the productive one. You can see same application, but if you see this is a different URL and this is a different URL, and I want to run my same test into different environment. I want to run the same script in, let's say, this landscape and this landscape. So how can I do that? So first of all, we will go back to our serenity.config file, and we will mention that this is the default base URL which we have to execute, which is nothing but this one. And let's assume this is the production URL, and you will also want to run your test sometime on the production environment. So I will update this URL in the prod section. Okay, so now if I run my test, by default it will take this particular URL and it will run our test on this URL, but this time I want to run my test into this environment. So let me show you first how it will work. So if I simply say mvn clean verify, since I'm not giving any other instructions, it will take default as Chrome browser. Default URL is like old URL, and it will run our test. So let's quickly wait for the execution. And in case if you want to make certain changes, now we are going to add two parameters, one for the browser and one for the environment. And it will start session now. Yeah, here we go. So it started our session, and by default it is running on the base URL, which is we are given as the default URL. Okay, so now let's say I want to change the environment. So first of all, I will say that I want to run on different browsers. So there's one key called webdriver.driver. So if you simply say webdriver.driver, whatever browser you will mention, it will run on that particular browser. So it will override the default properties which was on Chrome. So if you go back and see this, by default it uses Chrome, but we are telling that go to webdriver.driver, we want to update to Firefox. Okay, now the second property which we want to update is the environment property. Okay, so we are going to tell that go to environment and use a production one. So another property which you can mention is -d. Okay, and just mention the environment equal to which environment you want. So if you go back, we need prod. So just type prod and hit enter. So -d is for Maven. So -d is from Maven, and this is the key value which you're mentioning. So should run on Firefox and should run on the different landscape this time. So let's wait. It will take few seconds and it will start on Firefox. And yeah, you can see Firefox started, and it should point to the new URL, and you can see now the new UI is coming and our test will run on the new UI. Since both the environment have the same ID locator, so it is not going to fail. It is running perfectly fine. And here we go. And this is what test got passed. So this was mainly about changing the browser's environment. That was very quick video. I hope you liked the video. If yes, then share with your friends, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Have a nice day. Bye bye.